It's my birthday week, hence the crown. I always wear them during my birthday weeks. I just had a conversation with somebody, and it I'm talking today on forgiveness. And this is a topic, this is a particular something I have been struggling with for a very long time. There's a lot of information, especially on the internet, that's just blasting up back and forth saying when and if and how and when to forgive other people. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. A lot of this comes from the Christian religion that really pushes forgiveness. I have seen and experienced myself a lot of toxicity around forgiveness. And there's no other word for it. It's toxic, where people force forgiveness onto another person or they shame them for not forgiving. I'm going to say that again. A lot of people shame other people for not forgiving. So I'm going to take a minute and just talk on forgiveness, because while I was discussing with this individual about forgiveness this morning, like just a few minutes ago, I finally had a perspective of my own shift, so I could finally see the whole picture instead of just a piece of it. So this is more for documentary reasons on forgiveness. This is where I stand. Forgiveness is saying to somebody, I understand why you did what you did. I accept you. I love you anyway, and I'm ready for you to come back into my life. Now, the argument is you forgive people for yourself. You don't do it for other people. You do it for yourself. And that is correct. You do it just for yourself. But you do not need to forgive if you're not bringing them back into your life. You do not need to forgive to let go of anger. That's not how anger works. That is not how anger works. Anger is not dependent upon forgiveness to go away. It's not. You do not need forgiveness in the grieving process. In fact, if you look at the grieving process, nowhere does it say, oh, and forgive them, because it's not part of the grieving process. So what is forgiveness? So I'm going to step away from forgiveness and talk about the way emotions work. Emotions have two sides to them, like a coin with a tails and a heads. When we talk about emotions, we almost exclusively talk about one side. This is where I really love emotions. My favorite emotion, what is my favorite emotion? Is love. Okay, I did not have to think hard on that one. My favorite emotion is love. When we think of love, a lot of people think about the feeling of getting loved, the feeling of being loved. Now I'm going to flip it on you. There's also a feeling of giving love. And the feeling of giving love is not the same as receiving love. Gifts is really a fun topic on this particular subject. On the feeling of gift exchange, there are two sides, like every emotion. You have the feeling of giving, and you have the feeling of receiving. So when you give an emotion, fear, well, fear is usually received or considered, I'm going to receive the fear. Somebody is making me feel afraid. But we can also cause other people to be afraid. We can give fear. We don't want to do that. When you give fear, it has a different feeling than when you receive fear. Forgiveness works in this exact same way. There is somebody giving you forgiveness, and then there's you giving forgiveness to them. So there's a lot of belief that in order to feel forgiveness, you have to, or in order to heal, you have to give forgiveness. And that's not the case. There's two people you have to forgive. Have to forgive. Do you hear me? That's my point. There's two people that you can forgive. And we talk a lot about what an abuser does to you and forgiving abusers. I do not forgive my abusers. I know why they did what they did. And I don't like them. I don't love them. I don't accept them. And they're not in my life. Do I have anger? Yes. Yeah. Because I'm not done grieving yet. That's why. But it's not something I have to give to them to make myself feel good. The other person that I have to forgive. The other person that I can forgive is myself. Now, this is really where forgiveness starts to matter. When we are abused, our subconscious steps in and does a lot of work to keep us safe. And at the end of the day, your subconscious is you. So when you are through something horrific, when you survive a traumatic event or abuse, one of the things that you are left doing, one of the things that you have to face is that what you experienced are things that happened to you because you allowed them to happen. So this isn't between you and your abuser. This is between you and yourself. One of the persons that is required for healing is you forgiving yourself. That is where forgiveness matters, because you have to confront what you did to yourself. You chose your abuser. I will never forget the day I was talking to my divorce attorney, and I was talking trash about my ex, and my attorney just looked at me and said, "You chose him." It was a big slap in my face, and he was right. I chose him. Now, I chose being vulnerable to him. I chose trusting him. I chose letting him stay in my life as long as he was. I chose to have children with him before I realized who he was. I chose to legally marry him. I made all those choices. And at the end of the day, divorce is over. He's gone. The children are settled. I still have to make peace with myself, because at the end of the day, I chose him. I chose all of it. So forgiveness is not just forgiving him for what he did to me. I don't have to. That's not the problem. I do have to forgive myself, because at the end of the day, I am the one I have to live with. I don't have to live with him. Thank God. He's not in my life, and I'm not living with him anymore. That's why he's an ex. But I have to live with myself. So forgiveness is not an emotion that we have to give to abusers or people who wronged us. They are emotions that we have to give to ourselves if we want to find peace. So when people talk about you have to forgive to move on, you have to forgive to let go of the anger, we are really overlooking a massive chunk of what the forgiveness process is about. And what it is really about is you forgiving your subconscious for making the choices the subconscious decided to make to keep you safe. Forgiveness is all about you and your relationship with yourself and your subconscious. Don't forgive your abuser. You don't have to, unless you want to invite your abuser back in. That's not what it's about. Forgiveness is about you forgiving all the degree in which you had to keep yourself alive. When we're in a traumatic situation, we have to go through a lot. We have to do a lot. We have to make choices that we then have to live with. And those choices are not comfortable to live with. When we are abused, it turns us into a version of ourselves that we don't like. And that is really what we have to forgive, is that moment when you step back and you look at what you did while you were being abused, what you did when you were in trauma mind. We all have done things that we are not proud of, really. And when you are in trauma mind and when you're in survival mode under the abuse of a narcissist, you are going to do things that you regret. Regret is on the spectrum of forgiveness. I'm going to say that again real slow, because that's it. Regret and forgiveness are on the same spectrum. Not anger, regret. Regret is not something you feel with other people. I don't regret the choices my partner did or didn't make. I don't regret the choices that other people made. They're not mine. I do regret what I decided. Forgiveness is partnered with regret, because it's about the self. And there's a lot of internet stuff going around, especially right now with forgiveness, especially with the whole, you really need to learn forgiveness. You really need to move on from anger by using neglect or by using forgiveness. No. Forgiveness is not for them. It is for you setting aside and finally burying your Your regret. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. That is it. Forgiveness is very much you. Thank you. Ani, I think is how you say your name. Hanny, Ani, I would love to know how to say your name, girl. But yes, forgiveness is absolutely about regret. And it's being on that spectrum of regret. And it's you burying the demons with regret. It is about you and yourself and forgiving you. That is what is meant when we say use forgiveness if you want to move on. It has nothing to do at all with the people who abused you. So when you actually embrace forgiveness, when you actually accept it, I'm going to say it again because it's absolutely, forgiveness is saying to someone, yourself, I understand why you did what you did. I accept and love you anyway, and I welcome you back into my life. Now, when you have somebody who is, when you have yourself, and you've rejected yourself because yourself has severed all ties, because your subconscious removed pieces of yourself and threw them away. And I talk a lot about what the subconscious does during abuse. This is it. The subconscious does a lot to the self in order to keep it whole and well intact, to preserve the identity. The subconscious will literally cut up and pull apart the identity. And what ends up happening is, at the end of the day, you have to make amends with your subconscious. And this is where forgiveness comes in. I'm going to be doing a lot more on forgiveness, but this is one of those things where it hit me and I went, I got to get that out there. I need to explain this to people, exactly what forgiveness is. Thank you so much for joining me. I do these live videos on a regular basis. Make sure you follow the Facebook group. I'm also on YouTube. All of my videos are uploaded into YouTube in a journal-like documentary. So if you want to go back and watch a past video and it's buried in the feed, my YouTube channel is a fantastic place to keep track of all of my Anna Talks, which is what this is, Anna Talks. I love doing Anna Talks. So again, this is Anna Talks from annashealinggarden.org, and I talk a lot about forgiveness, the emotional spectrum, how the subconscious works, and this is the path through healing. Thank you so much for joining me, and may the kindest of words always find you.